Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion, and this will be the first out of 10 videos where I give my views on the retentions made by IPL franchises. I'll be suggesting a couple of names they could go after in the auction, and the first set I'll be covering are the defending champions, that side being the Chennai Super Kings. On the release page, you've got Ambati Rayudu, who after a trophy-laden IPL career announced his retirement from the IPL, and that frees up 6.75 crores. Ben Stokes has pulled out of the upcoming IPL season, and that freed up 16.25 crores. So you've got 22 crores there from two players, one retiring and one pulling out. And you've got Bhagat Verma and Subhranshu Senapati, where they were released while giving an opportunity. And especially on Subhranshu Senapati, where I think in the recent domestic competition, the T20 competition, he scored a century and a 50. And off the top of my head, and there was some talk as to how it'd go even when they signed him, and they've released him without giving him an opportunity. And Kyle Jamieson, I was puzzled when they signed him. He hadn't played a T20 game for 2 years, even at the point of signing him. And I don't think he's played a game in that format since, so it was a correct decision. And on Dwayne Pretorius and Sisanda Magala, starting off with Dwayne Pretorius. If you're comparing the conditions on offer in Chepauk and in Guyana, where Pretorius played the recent CPL season, they're fairly similar in which they're both on the slower side. And you saw Dwayne Pretorius in Guyana, where he bowled at a slower pace, where he gently moved the ball around. He's the most economical bowler on the power play in the recent CPL, and he bowled 3 overs in the power play. And based on what I'm going to say, I think you'll get a clue as to who I think CSK should sign. But at their home ground, if you pull your length back and look to bowl quicker, you can go for runs, which is why Dwayne Pretorius and Deepak Chahar would have made a great opening combination where both would have been able to get that gentle swing bowling at kind of a 130 odd pace, and they could have bowled 3 overs up front in the power play each before you got the spinners to come into play. So I thought they could have retained Dwayne Pretorius considering where their home ground is. And secondly, Sisanda Magala is the best Yorker bowler in South Africa. If you weren't going to retain Dwayne Pretorius, I would have retained Sisanda Magala simply because not only is he the best Yorker bowler in South Africa, where he can bowl at the death, where in this side you've got Matisha Patirana as the outright death bowling option, but even he's very inexperienced thus far. And I don't think you can go into a season where you've only got him being the sole death bowler on the side. And you've got the batting that Sisanda Magala offers as well. Dhoni likes his players to be able to bowl and bat throughout the 11. And that's why retaining one of Pretorius and Magala, I think, would have been good going into this auction. But apart from not retaining either of those two, I think they've done a good job. It'll be the third Bothier side going into this auction. And based on who I think they should get, they've not got too much competition in terms of, even though you've got Gujarat Titans and the Sunrise Hyderabad who've got more money than they have going into the auction. In terms of who they have to sign, I think they may get a bit of competition for one of the signings. But on the second one, I don't think either of those two teams would be able to accommodate that signing. So CSK are in a good place going into the auction. Looking at the slots filled in the 11 going to the auction, they've got a full 11 there because apart from Ambati, the other players released weren't permanent starters. And Mukesh Chaudhary will play ahead of Tushar Deshpande in my view, since he is expected to be available. He will bowl with a new bowl alongside Deepak Chahar. You could play either Mitchell Santner or Mahesh Theekshana, where yes, Santner's been in far better form of late, however. We shouldn't forget what Mahesh Theekshana can do when he is in form, where he's got success in the IPL last season, bowling the SA20 as well in the inaugural season, and in the T20 World Cup in 2022 in Australia, he bowled very well. So if he's got success in a variety of conditions, where I feel he would bring a lot of variety in this attack, where you've got Moeen Ali, Jadeja and Santner who mostly rely on their stock delivery. So whichever one of Santner and Theekshana is in better form going to the campaign, I don't mind them playing. At this point in time, Santner is in better form, and especially when playing in Chennai, if you're defending a score, especially if you've got Moeen Ali, Ravindra Jadeja and Mitchell Santner to boss the middle overs, CSK would be imperious when playing at home, especially when defending scores. So I don't mind either of those two playing. And in terms of who they need, since they've released Ben Stokes, they need that gun overseas batting all-rounder, where since you've got so many bowling options in this side, even if he bowls a couple of overs, it's okay, because he may not need to bowl more often than not. And another player being a gun overseas fast bowler, considering Matisha Patrina is very inexperienced as of now. And this isn't because of the ODI World Cup that he had, where he's performed far better in T20s than he has performed in ODIs. But I feel, especially since you've released Susanda Magala, who would have been that backup death bowler, I thought he'd play ahead of Matisha Patrina, but his injury meant that Patrina could get the opportunity to shine, and he did. So you've released both Pretorius and Magala, so I feel you need that gun frontline fast bowler. And I'll be suggesting both those two in the next part of this video. Considering how healthy CSK's purse is going into the auction, they can go big on the two slots that I said they should fill in the previous segment of this video. And the two players I think they should go for are firstly Darryl Mitchell to fill that batting all-rounder role, and then Gerard Coetzee to fill that gun overseas fast bowler role. And if you'd watched a previous video where I covered the last auction, and I'd given the prices that I thought the players would go for before the auction took place. Have they been accurate a lot of the time? I wouldn't say so. However, I feel the books have been balanced out. I'd said they'd be balanced out when I was previewing that auction as well, and the books were balanced out as to how I thought they would be. The franchises ended up spending a similar amount of money as to how much I thought they'd be spending. So pretend if Darryl Mitchell, who I said would go for 8 crores, if he goes for 10 or 12 crores, which I think CSK wouldn't have too much competition with considering the purse that they've got. Even if he has to go for that kind of money, they could still be able to get him. And you've got Gerard Coetzee, who I said will go for 14.5 crores. Then if CSK gets some other signings that don't go for that much money, then the books will be balanced out. So even if Darryl Mitchell goes for a few crores more than that, CSK wouldn't mind paying that money for him, because if even then they've got 8.9 crores left out of 31.4 if they spend money on these two signings. And in terms of how they could use him, especially when playing in Chennai, as good of a player Devon Conway is, I've said before, where when you're playing in Chennai and in Lucknow, you need to go aggressively for the first 10 overs as scoring gets difficult in the last 10. You see it, I think, in the game against the Delhi Capitals, where after getting a decent start, CSK scrambled to 160 and won that game easily. So I know Dhoni doesn't like changing the 11, and he may start off with Devon Conway. However, what I'd do is I'd go with Ruturaj Gaikwad and Ajinkya Rahane to open the batting, with Darryl Mitchell at 3 and Shivam Dube at 4. So you're likely to get a decent start in the first 10, and then you've got the familiar faces where you can scrap to that 170 odd score, and then look for your bowlers to defend that score. And truthfully, would Gerard Coetzee be as effective in Chennai, where if he drags his lengths back and looks to bowl quickly, he may not be as effective? But we've seen last year with Ben Stokes, where he hardly did anything, and he was still kind of sitting on the bench, even though they paid 16.25 crores for him. In this case, and especially if they had retained one of, especially Susanda Magala, who can bowl to death, where on this side, apart from Patriana, I still wouldn't consider Gerard Coetzee an outright death bowler. Then you could have played another overseas fast bowler there. So I don't think Gerard Coetzee will be a huge success when playing in Chennai. But you've got the other spin bowling options, especially Deepak Chahar and Mukesh Chaudhary, who should get the job done. So overall, if this side is actualized, then you've got a lot of batting options in the 11, a lot of bowling options where you don't even need to use the impact sub a lot of the time when you're playing in Chennai especially. So I think they have enough funds to get these players. And as a third overseas player, even as another Indian player, maybe a backup for Moeen Ali, where there aren't too many players who can be a backup for him. I thought they should have got Sikandar Raza in the previous auction. He went to Punjab Kings, where for some reason he hasn't been played. In this case, if you've got him as a backup for Moeen Ali, it would have been a fantastic option. So in terms of overseas backup, there wouldn't be as many players there, but I think in terms of local backup, in terms of the fast bowling, it's been rumoured that they could either get one of Shardul Thakur or Harshal Patel, who wouldn't, especially Harshal Patel, I don't think it would be that bad of a signing. So we'll see how they go. But if they get Darryl Mitchell and Gerard Coetzee, along with a couple of Indian fast bowlers and still a few batsmen, because Looking at the squad here, I think what they did release, I think Subranju Senapati and someone else, and you got Sheikh Rashid there, who I'm sure is learning a lot, while he's more of a conventional number 3. So apart from the 2 headline overseas signings, get a couple of Indian fast bowlers, and this side does look good to go on and defend that trophy. So let's see how they go in this auction. I hope they go well, because like I said, if they get this auction right, then they'll be well on their way to defending this trophy in a few months' time. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, share with your friends. Remember, this is my opinion.